Welcome to the Midday. We are talking today about the saga involving Representatives Omar and Tlaib. Just a second. The latest on this saga that has taken a turn is overnight, Rashida Tlaib reapplied to visit Israel, citing the need to visit her 90-year-old grandmother in the West Bank. Her visit was approved, and then on Friday morning, Tlaib announced that she would not be visiting despite the approval due to oppressive conditions. Quote, "In my attempt to visit Palestine, I have experienced the same racist treatment that many Palestinian Americans endure when encountering the Israeli government. I have therefore decided to not travel to Palestine and Israel at this time. Visiting my grandmother under these oppressive conditions meant to humiliate me would break my grandmother's heart." So to back it up a few steps, on Thursday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu banned Representatives Ilhan Omar of Minnesota and Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, both Democrats, from visiting the country and Palestinian territories. Okay, so this move came after a tweet from President Trump in which he said it would show great weakness if Israel allowed Representatives Omar and Tlaib to visit. They hate Israel and all Jewish people, and there's nothing that can be said or done to change their minds. They are a disgrace. So the representatives have been vocal critics of the Israeli government, the policies, and of course, President Trump's support of Benjamin Netanyahu. So, in response to that initial ban, which later became her writing a letter to go see your grandmother, which they said, okay, fine, you can go see your grandmother, but you can't come over here and boycott us or rally around the boycott. In response to the original ban from Thursday, here are some of the notables. Bernie Sanders said, "It is disgusting that a bigot like Trump is attacking Rashida Tlaib and Omar in this way. Opposing Netanyahu's policies is not hating the Jewish people. We must stand together against those who promote hatred and racism in Israel, Palestine, the U.S., and everywhere." Nancy Pelosi. Israel's denial of entry to Congresswoman is beneath the dignity of the great state of Israel. Donald Trump's statements about the Congresswoman are a sign of ignorance and disrespect and beneath the dignity of the office of the president. Elizabeth Warren, candidate for president. Israel does not advance its case as a tolerant democracy or unwavering U.S. ally by barring elected members of Congress from visiting because of their political views. This would be a shameful, unprecedented move. I urge Israel's government to allow the representatives' entry. And finally, Marco Rubio, I 100% disagree with the representatives and the author of the we're going to get to the BDS bill here in a second. Being blocked is what they really hope for all along in order to bolster their attacks against the Jewish state. Now, that brings us to a question, Brian, is BDS anti-Semitic? For the people who don't know, what is BDS?
Okay, so let me see if I can put myself on camera here. One moment. So, BDS, which stands for the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions Movement, it is a movement whose stated goal is to put economic and political pressure on Israel to protect the rights of Palestinians. It calls for countries, businesses, and universities to sever ties with Israel unless three demands are met, and those three demands are for Israel to end its occupation of all land captured in 1967 and dismantling the wall and fence that separate Israel from much of the West Bank, granting full equality to Palestinian citizens of Israel, and assuring the right of Palestinian refugees and their descendants to return to the homes and properties from which they or their ancestors were displaced when Israel was established. And you have two opposing sides. The movement's supporters are routinely accused of anti-Semitism, and opponents of the movement have said that its real goal is the elimination of Israel as a Jewish state. And Tlaib and Omar are two of the most vocal backers of this movement.
All right, so turning to the comments on our live stream here, Mike says boycotts worked in South Africa. Chandra says the president's an embarrassment every time he opens his mouth. MD Blackburn says Islamic laws will never be allowed in the U.S. You are American. Tlaib act it. Cheryl calls at least one of the representatives an embarrassment. I'm not clear on who she's talking about specifically. Daniel says she's an enemy of the U.S. Janine, America is becoming a joke. David believes they have bad intentions, plain and simple. So we invite you to continue the conversation even as we wrap up the live stream. We'll keep the live stream going with what we call a full screen or a logo or something on the screen, but you will be able to continue to talk and converse and debate this issue in real time for, what would you say, about 10 minutes or so?
Yeah, we'll leave it up for about 10 minutes.
Okay. All right, that's going to do it for the midday for this week. We will be back on Tuesday and next Friday with more provocative topics to discuss and hear from you, Local 4 Nations. So everybody have a safe and happy weekend, and we'll see you next week.